to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane. Starring Ryan Rash.
Never fight an ugly person. They have less to lose.
And Dale Hummel.
Why follow when you can lead?
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
And special guest, Chase Hummel.
Thank God Chase is on here. I love Chase the most.
Chase, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm very happy to be back.
We are the most happy because you're always on here when I'm not here.
Current events, I have to start out with our Governor J.B. Pritzker. Have you heard anything about it, Ryan?
He is going to be the president of the United States.
He does believe that, or he pretends to believe that.
He's raised more money than Biden.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Well, he passed a bill, or they pushed it through legislation 30 minutes before the session was over, in the middle of the night, basically. They dumped a 700-page bill out in front of them.
They do that all the time.
Yeah, and in Illinois, we're outnumbered on the Democrats versus Republicans, so it did pass.
It's because of Chicago.
Very much so. But I wanted to just enlighten people what this was all about. It sounds like California passed something very similar, and there's some other states trying to do it, but it abolishes cash bail payments for the release of people who've been arrested. So essentially, there is no bail. If a police officer were to arrest somebody, and this goes into some fairly serious crimes, for robbery or whatever it is, they basically write them a ticket and they go free. Gone. They don't have to take them to jail, anything like that.
I am so moving to Illinois.
Kidnapping, arson. Here's an example, and I just saw.
Does this get you off of traffic speeding violations?
I don't know. I hope.
If that happens, I have to move to the state of Illinois. Cherie has to. If this involves auto vehicle nonsense,
I think
Cherie and I are moving to the state of Illinois.
Aggravated DUI, I believe, is one of them. Or
Cherie needs to move to the state of Illinois.
Assaulting.
She sheared an orchard in California one time. I'm just saying.
So if you have somebody trespassing on your business or your property, the police can no longer remove them. This is insane. It is absolutely insane. I don't understand it. What benefit would Pritzker get from passing this? Does he just get the criminal vote? Is that why he's doing it, or I don't know why he did it or why states would do that.
He obviously thinks this is going to help him for his presidential bid.
I guess it's just that defund.
But I'm telling you, of all the people that are thinking about running for the Democratic presidential nonsense, other than the Hillary Clinton, which, she says she's not, but she's going on every talk show. She's got a reality show with Chelsea, all this other stuff happening. He's raised the most money.
No, I don't doubt that. I wish he would run because I just cannot imagine he's electable, but maybe I'm wrong.
He wins your state?
Yeah, but that's whoever the Democrat nominee is, and he has the most money to spend. So, it just is.
He literally has more money than God, evidently.
Yeah, I don't know. California did the same thing we were talking about, and I did see a statistic that 70% of those that are released on no bail, just the abolishment of the cash bail, 70% of them commit another crime in a fairly short period of time. So it's crazy.
You think?
It's crazy. Absolutely.
So what you're telling me is that somebody commits a crime, they don't have to pay for it, they don't have to do any hard time, and then they go commit another one?
They probably get a ticket of some sort. I don't know what.
That you don't have to pay for, you don't have to do jail time for, and then they go and do it again?
I can't imagine.
Shocking.
Did you know that your governor and Beetlejuice are still kind of battling?
Beetlejuice is very mad at my governor because she keeps sending immigrants up to the Chicago of it all. She's getting very pissy about it. And now she's sending them elsewhere. I don't know.
She ships them to the suburbs.
It's great.
She ships them to the suburbs. And then the mayors are now upset with her because she's not telling them, hey, we just filled your Hampton Inn with the immigrants from Texas. So it's a mess.
What she hasn't figured out is he first started in Washington and then sent some to New York and all this stuff. And so those people in those areas figured out that the smart thing to do was not to give it media attention and just be quiet about it, try to make the problem go away. She has not figured that out. So she keeps yelling about it and all this other stuff. So this is just adding to Abbott's popularity, which I'm all for.
No, I'm with you. What I'm a little curious, and I talked to Chase a little bit about this, and maybe I'm just ill-informed.
Is Chase still there?
Yeah,
there,
I'm
Chase?
here. I've been trying to. I've been looking for a place to get a word in.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring this one up, and you guys can tell me. So we have all these illegal immigrants coming in, and it just is what it is. Huge numbers. Normally when an immigrant comes in, they have a work visa or something that you can legally employ them. To my knowledge, all these people coming in cannot seek legal employment. If you're a small business and hire them, technically you're breaking the law. So how do they expect them to provide for themselves?
Chase, go right ahead, honey.
Honestly, it's a no-win situation. They're in the country now, but they have no form of documentation that allows them to get a job to feed them or their families, which is the entire reason they probably came to America.
They're all single men anyway.
I'm assuming a lot of them are working for cash. I get it. I understand it, and it's part of it. But maybe there's some exception out there I'm unaware of that we can hire those immigrants. But I just don't know how you can justify bringing that many in, and they're not even allowed to work.
So can I interject a funny personal story?
Sure.
I'm scared.
So, no, it's clean, I swear. Anyway, so back when I was a child, John Ben, my stepfather, had like one of the largest shaving plant companies in America. It was called Crockett Stable Bedding. And
livestock shavings.
Yes, like livestock shavings. Like we provided them for Fort Worth and lots of places. Anyway. And so we might have had some illegal immigrants on the payroll. I'm just saying.
On the cash payroll.
Right. No, John Ben didn't do anything that you could like figure. No, we had no documentation. But anyway, so because this was a big company or whatever, we would sometimes have the people come check for things. And if somehow we got notice of when they were going to come check, so they would hide out in my show barn for the day.
That's a pretty good story.
I'm just saying how this works. But what I don't understand is, like Chase was saying, they're feeding their families and all this stuff. All the videos you see, the large majority, now I'm not saying that there's not a couple of women with some children. The large majority of these people are single men. And I'm assuming why they appear to be single men is they have left their families or their baby mamas and their children wherever they were, and they're coming to America to find work to send money back to them. That's how all of them that worked for us, that's all did it.
I think there's some of those and some that are bringing their entire families. I think a little bit of everything, but it is puzzling.
I don't see many family units on the TV.
No, and most of them, and like, I don't know, when they ship them to Chicago or wherever, even when Biden flies them in the middle of the night to somewhere, and they put them up in a hotel, does anybody know how long we continue to pay for that room at the hotel for them? Is it a day? Is it a month? Is it a year? I have no idea. I've never heard.
What is the time limit that you get to stay in the hotel? Yeah,
some fairly expensive hotels in New York.
Chase, you should research this for us and come back on a future podcast and tell us what the time limit is that the illegal immigrants get to stay in the Polish hotel.
And then do we continue to subsidize since they can't get a job?
You just cut Chase off.
Sorry, Chase, go.
That's all right. It's funny you mentioned research because I actually did a bit of research on that bail situation that we've long since moved on from. But I have to correct you, Dad. Arson is not something that can let them out on bail. But second-degree murder is. So,
Great.
So I can murder somebody, but I can't burn their house down?
Pretty much.
Well, that's cool.
I just don't know the logic behind these things.
I would much rather burn somebody's house down than murder them. I'm just saying.
I have one more current event I'd like to bring up, and then I'm done with current events.
I have lots more current events. But anyway.
This one here, there's a new UFO theory, Ryan. I listened to
Jesus.
another podcast, and there's a new one. A new one. So I don't necessarily subscribe to this one, but I want to give all the options. I want to be fair.
You just want to make sure it's all out there.
Yeah, it's all here's all our options. So here's what we have. We've already talked about the UAPs or UFOs. They're real. We'll just say here's one option. They're real. It's another life form that we were just unaware of who they are. The other one is tech is way more advanced, or the technology in some country, ourselves, or somewhere is way more advanced than what we imagine it can be. And again, I don't subscribe to that one. And then the third one that I just heard about, and I can, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you might jump on board here. So all the way back to Roswell, New Mexico, and a lot of these people that are coming out and say they've worked on the reverse engineering of different propulsion systems and so forth, all the way to maybe seeing through a window what they thought was an alien, to radar that's picking up these objects, the naval pilots and the Air Force pilots, all of those things. There's a theory that the government is constructing this and basically planting this so some people that are very credible will see it and talk about it. And if they talk about aliens enough, that puts in the back of the population's mind that, wow, that maybe there's aliens out there. We're going to conform to what the government wants us to do because they're going to take care of the aliens. Kind of crazy, kind of way out there. I'm not subscribing to it, but it's pushed up there in the forefront a little more here recently. So with that, Chase, do you have any opinions?
Well, you see, I like theories as much as the next guy. Theories about all kinds of things. We have a very specific name for that kind of theory. We call it a crack theory. Because it is off the walls out there. And at the end of the day, if aliens are real, that'd also seem pretty out there. And I'm not going to say there's not life somewhere out there in the galaxy. I will never say there's not. There's too much galaxy for there not to be. But I cannot see a picture where they are that advanced yet have made no interaction with mankind that would not leave behind solid evidence that's better than a blurry photo in the age of information where everybody's got a perfect camera in their pocket 24/7.
I think we're at a point that it's not a question. There's objects out there. I think there's too many witnesses that are credible in too much technology, whether it's radar, sonar, whatever it may be. I think it's there. I do not know what it is, but there is something there, and I cannot explain it.
I'm going to defer to y'all on all thing alien.
I just wanted to bring it up so you jump on some more current events.
So the largest current event that you have missed, which is very rude.
No, I did not. I'm aware of it. I'm maybe not as interested as some.
You're not interested in that the longest reigning monarch of the UK has passed away. That doesn't interest you?
No, it does not. I don't have anything negative towards her. I think she seemed like a very nice old lady.
Okay, first off, since you have no interest in this, let me start. That woman reigned for 7 decades. She was always a class act. She never got drugged down into the bullshit over there. All this other stuff. I do not think there is any way in hell her son or her grandson or any of them can ever live up to what she was. And I think this is the beginning of the fall of the British monarchy, if I'm just being real.
I can agree with all of that. I'm not interested in it, but I do agree with what you're saying.
Then if you would watch one documentary, like, I'm not talking like some bullshit, The Crown, Netflix.
I just can't do it.
She's a fascinating human.
I'm sure she is. I just, for some reason, I don't have interest in that.
I mean, a fascinating human being. And again, I have the utmost respect for her. I think it is just terribly tragic. She lived to be 96. 48 hours before she died, she met with the outgoing prime minister and welcomed in the new prime minister. And less than 48 hours later, the woman is dead. Now, that is dedication to your role. I don't care.
I agree with
what
all of those things. And I think her serving the 70 years, I believe it was.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know exactly what she does. I'm just looking in. I'm catching bits and pieces, but it looked like, I mean, just formal crap every day that she had to go do. And I'm going to think that some days she probably didn't want to do it, but guess what?
Oh, yeah.
She did it.
And, but she did do things to advance things. She's a very big deal. And she was a world leader and all this other stuff. I know that she doesn't have any true power in terms of the British government, but she is like the major puppet player behind it all. But anyway,
do we know where they how do they fund themselves? Where do they get their money? Is it tax dollars?
I can answer this.
Go ahead.
some
Chase.
of it. Go ahead, Chase.
I got a fun little history lesson for you. Now you see, way back in the days of King George III, that fun guy who tried to stomp out America during the Revolution, he made a deal with the British government that he would offer them all the rent and stuff from all the lands that he personally owned, and in return, the government would give the royal family a yearly salary. And nowadays, with the amount of money that like the British government makes off like the tourism to see Buckingham Palace and all that, it's a winning bet for the government. It's an investment that sure the taxpayers have to pay more money to, give the royals their salary, but the royals are bringing in so much money from the tourism industry that it is well worth it.
So you think it's a wash?
Not even a wash, it is a profit.
No, it's in the millions in a year, but they're also, because of whether you buy into or not, how the British monarchy got started is they think that they were, chosen by God and all this other stuff. They have more land and capital and all of these.
You're saying there's a lot of old money there.
Well, in land, in castles, in crown jewels, in gifts, all of these things or whatever. I mean, they are not one of these land rich, cash poor type of families. They have it all. I mean, like, seriously. But again, I think it's terrible. I'm very sad for everyone over there in the UK about it. They are really mourning, but I do want to put a funny spin on it if I can. So the three, hush, Chase, leave me alone. So the three things that I think that have come from her passing, even though we didn't want her to pass. But number one, Elton John is now the oldest living queen in London. Number two, at 73 years old, Prince Charles, now King Charles, finally got a job. And number three, Camilla Parker Bowles was the side chick. Now she queen consort. Never quit dreaming, people. Never. It can happen to you.
It can.
Thank you.
It can.
Thank you. I'm done now.
You're done with current events completely.
I'm done with that. I don't know what else I can give, but I am.
Well, how about you give us are you able to give us some BTRJLA news?
Yeah, but that's at the end.
Well, we can combine it all there. Well, then I'm going to talk a little bit about.
Did you also? Well, hold on. Did you also know that the judge has unsealed additional portions of the heavily redacted Trump Mar-a-Lago affidavit?
I saw a little bit, heard a little bit on the news today, but I didn't pick up enough to speak intelligently about it.
You do realize your government is the most screwed here. Not like they screwed up.
Yes, I understand that. I don't know that they're going to be held accountable, but I get that they screwed up.
I think they're going to be held accountable in the court of public opinion.
You think?
I'm with Ryan.
I hope.
And I'm not talking about votes. I'm talking about that the DOJ, the FBI, all them, they are going to be held accountable in the court of public opinion. Like they have literally screwed up the most this time.
Well, I'm going to be against you here. I mean, there have been a lot of government agencies that have screwed up really, really bad, like worse than this, and people just kind of forget about it with time. I mean, people have more or less forgotten about Waco. Seems like this is pretty easy to forget in comparison to that.
I do worry that the news cycle is so quick anymore. Just wouldn't you assume Afghanistan, all these things that have been so horrific, we've seemed to just move on from? I don't get it. Again,
I don't think this really has anything to do with Biden as much as it has to do with the Department of Justice and the FBI and their complete overreach and mishandling.
I would think it would be huge, and every person in this country would be very interested in it. But I think most people just don't give a shit. Unfortunately, I'm becoming a little negative, maybe, but that is my fear.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but again, I don't know how this is going to translate into votes and all this other stuff, but I think that this is going to be a problem for a very long time for those two government agencies. I hope it is. I hope that it is. But Anyway, I guess those are the current events. Ken Starr died.
I did see that. Yes.
I'm sure Hillary, Epsteined him, but Ken Starr died.
I looked at his age, and I would say maybe a little young. You might be right.
76, I think.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see. I do want to speaking of Hillary again, I don't think that I'm off base, and I predicted this months ago that she's gonna run again.
You did mention that, yes. And
No,
she's going to do it. She's going to do it to save the party.
Months ago, right? She's going to save everybody. She has a reality show with Chelsea coming on. She was just on Watch What Happens Live on Bravo. Like, she is literally on every public appearance she can be. Now, she basically went from losing to Trump to went into her compound in Chautauqua and never heard from again, and now we're out everywhere. There's something up, people.
You are correct.
There's something up. But
I get it.
So let's move on. That's lovely current events.
I will take care of Show Fresh H2O sponsoring.
Of course you will.
I sponsoring the podcast, and again, remember the importance of hydration. It's all about hydration.
Chase, do you drink Show Fresh H2O for breakfast?
If my dad offered it to me, I would try it. I'll try anything once.
Oh my Lord, you are his favorite.
So if you have not tried Show Fresh H2O yet, and you're showing livestock, hauling livestock, anything you're doing, it's very simple. It takes the chlorine out of the water. It makes it more palatable for the livestock. They're going to consume more. Hydration is good. We can't get too much water into the livestock. I appreciate the fact that they're willing to sponsor this podcast that's directed towards the youth livestock industry. And their continued support is very much appreciated. Please consider purchasing Show Fresh H2O at swampfox.com or at your local supply trailer. Thank you.
And I like the fact that not only do they sponsor the podcast, but she personally loves my Snapchat that Dale hates. So there you go.
I will go on the record that I find your Snapchat entertaining, but occasionally inappropriate.
Have you met me?
A couple times, yes.
Okay, next.
Okay, just so everybody's aware, we're going to do kind of a dual topic.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yes, that portion is all about question and answer, followed by rules and regulations coming for 2023. Would that be accurate, Ryan?
Yes, in the BTRJLA.
Correct. So we'll go through our question and answer, and Chase has come on to kindly read some questions, and that means I will probably give some input in them. I'd rather just read the questions. That is far more enjoyable.
Yeah, but this makes Dale actually have to have an opinion or answer one. But before we start, I want to thank Chase for coming on, but I'm going to bring out the first thing because this was not directed to the question and answer of it all, but it is a question that I got via Snapchat, and I am going to not name this person because bless this poor woman's heart. But anyway, I felt the need to address this, and Dale does not want to address it, so I'm going to.
I think it's in the question and answer.
I promise. I think it is.
You can grab right a hold.
Oh, well, anyway. I got a question via Snapchat the other day, and this woman that is a show person because I could tell by her Snap handle asked me if I was really gay. Because I am never seen with a partner or boyfriend, nor do I ever mention one on social media or the podcast. So here is my answer. I am pretending to be gay to make all my dreams in the livestock show industry come true. Because that makes so much sense.
So the answer is yes.
Really? Really?
Well, maybe.
Really?
Dad, there's no win in this.
Really?
I did not ask. That was somebody else. I did not. Maybe it's your
just engaged to a man not that long ago.
Maybe it's your conservative views that threw it
I
off.
sent out save the dates.
Conservative views. Does that fit?
I do not know, but I
No, it does not. I can help you there. It does not. So maybe. What about having an ex-wife? Does that fit?
Yes.
That was like 2 centuries ago. The dinosaurs were still roaming around when we had our wedding. Like, we had one. We used Barney as a slide. But next.
Now, was this not a Shrek arranged wedding or a push? From
Duh, hello. Like, y'all thought Princess Di and Charles got arranged? No, this was the most arranged marriage. But anyway, in case anybody else is wondering out there in podcast land, yes, I am truly gay. I am not doing this for I cannot imagine in any industry, any instance in the world why anyone would pretend to be gay for that to help them in any circumstance. I do not understand.
There may be venues that would help, but this probably isn't the one.
I cannot think of many. I'm going to be real honest.
Maybe like that beauty pageant world or fashion.
Nope, that does not help you. Anyhow, so yes, I am gay. For the record, I've said it. There we go. I do not have a partner or a boyfriend. Well, I might I don't know. We're not going to answer the boyfriend. I don't have time for a pet, much less a man. So, there we go. Let's move on to the other ones, but I wanted to get that out.
Chase, you can cross that one off the list. And once you cross that one off, Chase, you just grab a hold and have at it. And Chase is going to read these as I do. Sometimes the grammar, and it's a little confusing. People are typing quick. Maybe they don't proofread them, so they don't all make 100% sense. But Chase, just read it as is. We will do our best to interpret.
Now, do you want me to really read them verbatim? Because this first one here, I could just make a couple tweaks that would make it so much
Chase,
more.
I told you this was going to be a problem.
Chase, you do whatever you would like. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'll read this first one word for word, and then you can decide after that one if you want to keep going like that.
Okay.
No disrespect to our questioner. I understand that I get typos all the time when I leave comments.
Just do not use names. They'll get the most offended.
First names are okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
My name is Helen Van Patterson Patton.
Okay. So, coming from Tyler, not going to say any last name. Dale and Ryan, in Ohio, we show breeding heifers by age. We all know aging of cattle is getting all out of hand. What is your thoughts on this? And do you think shows should show breeding heifers by weight than age to make it more fair?
We had a whole podcast about this. Dale is bringing on a guest in a few weeks about this.
Possibly next week.
Oh, maybe next week. I don't know. I may be in the hospital by then at that point, so I don't know. But anyway, here's the thing. I'm going to state again, like I stated on the podcast. The only way to fix the overaging problem, regardless of species, anything, is to show the animals by weight. That is not a plausible or a probable theory. I do think there is a lot of sense in showing animals by birth year and then by weight. I still do not think this is something that will probably catch on, but if you want to fix the overaging problem, that is the only way to do it, period, paragraph, the end.
I agree with what Ryan's saying there. I would take it show by birth month, weight within birth month, if that makes sense, or put a couple months together. And we'll talk about this more.
Well, that's what I mean by year. I mean, I'm not saying like a whole year, but like
I think we're on the same page.
You can claim that they're born in January of 2023, and if you want to, so we show the January through Marches by weight in classes of January through March of 2023. But that's the only way this is going to fix. I do not think that you will get. I think the cattle people would rather set themselves on fire than do this. But that's just my opinion.
I think there'll be plenty of resistance, and we are going to bring Matt Clays, who's now at the National Swine Registry, on, and he's going to talk about this exact topic and some of the changes that they're making. So I appreciate that people are trying to tackle this, because there's no question, standing ringside in the breeding animal shows, it's across species. I can't even try to pick on one specific.
I think it would be more obvious in the market shows if you actually knew their date of birth. If you had to put a date of birth on there in the market shows.
That would complicate things, I think.
Exactly.
Yes.
That will never happen, but I think, if you had to do that, it would be just as obvious, if not more obvious.
No, I agree completely. And a lot of them have just thrown out the age rules in the market one, because we talked about if you can't enforce a rule, let's not have it. So it is what it is. And there is no question in market animals, maturity equals bones. Maturity sometimes equals muscle. There's a lot of advantages to it if you can keep them in check.
That hog that took me out today was awfully mature. Just saying.
Just saying. Okay, Chase, give us another one.
Alrighty then. This one is shorter question, but better grammar. Coming from our dear listener, Tracy. You guys have mentioned that the first 15 seconds in the ring is the most important for both the actual show and the showmanship. What are you looking for in those 15 seconds?
I think the one word that comes to my mind is presence. And I talk about this at every showmanship show that I judge. I do honestly believe that the first 15 seconds, whether it's in showmanship or in the show, is vitally important because you get that more than the first impression. You get a read about that exhibitor, that animal, all these things. And in terms of the exhibitor and showmanship, which I know this question was kind of geared to both, but she talked more about showmanship in the thing. When a child has presence, they are there, they are in the moment. You can tell by their body language, their poise, their eye contact, their facial expressions, all of those things, that registers immediately. And again, I will bring something up that I brought up at the county fair that I just judged this week. Those are things that over time you can train and learn and all these things, but some people just have presence, and that is part of it. I talked in showmanship, in sheep showmanship at the Wayne County Fair. I told them that, again, I wasn't very politically correct, and like no one wanted to hear this, but I don't care what you do in life, whether it's your profession, a hobby, where you are, what age, there will be people that have more natural ability than others. And that is just a fact. That does not mean with time, hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears, that someone that doesn't have that natural ability cannot be better than that person, achieve more, beat that person, etc. But you have to understand that there are people that are going to have presence, have natural ability, and others are not. And if you can't handle that, then you can't handle life.
I think that addresses showmanship perfect. What about how does this play into your mind in the regular show?
I think it's the same thing. There are animals that have presence, whether it is clipped in, dialed in, all that, or there are animals that naturally hold themselves different than others. They are very few, but they are. But if you see an animal that is good, let's just say that one walks in, that's a good animal, but that showman has a ton of presence, you're like, okay, this is a good duo here.
Yes.
There's been time, there's been effort, everything here is clicking. This is something to like take a second look at.
Absolutely. No, I think that I have absolutely nothing to add to that. And when we're evaluating that animal the first 15 seconds, that is we talk about those first impressions. It's there. It's in our mind. It's things may go wrong, things may change, lots of things can happen after that 15 seconds, but we still have that first impression that more times than not we're gonna put a lot of weight into. It just is what it is.
And now in every single species, more than ever, way more than ever, in every single species, one of the things that you are going to notice, because all of them do it now, is the clip and the fit job. There used to be a time where there was not that much clipping and fitting in a sheep, a goat, or a hog. All of them are maxed out, pimped out now. So again, when I say do the things that will get you noticed for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, in terms of clipping and fitting, it's very, very important because that is what is going to strike a chord as much as the physical conformation of the animal or the showman in that first 15 seconds.
Nope, I agree. And I want to take it just one notch further. These first 15 seconds or this first impression, whether you're interviewing, whether you're giving a set of reasons in an official, in a judging contest, in almost anything in life, that first impression, that first 15 seconds that you present yourself to something new, those opinions are being formed, boom, just like that, just as we're talking about here in the show ring. So yes, very, very important. Chase, I am ready.
Alrighty then. We have our next question coming from Deanna. Now, I feel like you, Dad, might be a slightly more fit to answer this one. No offense to you, Ryan, but you'll get what I mean when I read it. Alright. Deanna, in the show stock world and as a breeder, it seems like until an animal you raise wins a major show and is sired using big name winning genetics, it is hard to convince potential customers to buy from you. What is a good way to promote yourself and your stock until you get a few wins under your belt, especially if you don't have kids of your own that show? Is it even possible?
Ryan, I don't have a problem deferring this one right to you. This is I think this is a problem that a lot of people, 90% of people raising show stock are probably have been in this situation. Even Ryan as a broker, I think same situation. Would you agree?
But she wanted your answer, so go first.
I will be happy to give it. So
I am evidently dumb in this world, so go right ahead.
Deanna, I think in the situation,
I did take offense, Deanna. I'm not going to lie.
No, it's all me.
That was Chase, not Deanna. Be nice to her. So under this circumstance, when you're trying to establish yourself as a breeder, I don't think there's any shortcut. Maybe the first year you jump into it, you raise a great one and it wins a national show. But she's talking about until you do that, how do you promote yourself and your stock to get a few wins under your belt? I think some people are raising show stock as a business, and I would say that my family would be an example of that. I'm not saying we're not passionate about it and we don't enjoy it, but others that maybe have other sources of income are doing it more as a hobby because they really enjoy it and they want to go win a banner. Even if they're losing money doing it, they're going to continue to do that. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. The difficulty, Dan, is if you're raising these as a business, you're having to sell those animals pretty much on the open market to generate as much income as you can to make that business pencil. If you're not doing it as a business and you have the luxury that you can hand place your very best ones at a lesser price into some of the family's hands that do a super job of getting them fed and shown, that's probably going to move you down that path just a little bit quicker. And the bottom line is you just have to continue to put your time in, irregardless whether you're treating it as a business or a hobby, until those things start to happen. But I can assure you, no matter how good, and I don't even know what species we're necessarily dealing with here, no matter how good ones you make, if they don't fall into pretty good hands, it's probably not going to happen. Not at the level that I think you're wanting to get to.
Okay, sorry, Deanna. Chase, you offended me. No, I'm joking. But anyway.
I'll take my lumps.
It's okay, Chase. You know I love you the most. I think what Dale is saying is right. And we've talked about this on other podcasts that if you are a broker or a breeder, and people get offended by this, but this is just how the game is. This is kind of like people having natural ability. If you're a broker or a breeder, especially one starting out, you're going to bend over backwards to get that kid that's consistently at the backdrop an animal in their hands, and that's part of the game. I think it is what it is. I think the other way, and again, I'm not a hypocrite when I say this, but right now, the way to get you the most attention, regardless of what you win, is through social media. Print advertising is basically dead. I'm not trying to offend anybody. My mother owns a livestock magazine, has for 40-something years, but it's kind of a dying art there. And using social media and those ways, regardless if you're a big name or somebody just starting out, Dale is the first one that will tell you that if you have a business page, you can advertise, get more boosts, get more likes, all these things. And so I would say utilize social media to the best advantage possible, because that is where everyone is looking. And again, I'm going to give a shout out to Sully and the Pulse. I think one of the best things that anyone could do that is really trying to market cattle, per se, is probably take an ad out on there, because every single cattle person looks at that multiple times every day, especially when the big shows are raging through and on the weekends.
Nope, I agree completely. Get that win and then publicize it as best you can to make sure everybody out there understands you can make one that's good enough to do it. if it falls in the right hands. Very good. Chase, are you there? Did you fall asleep?
Oh, come on. Have a little faith in me.
It's a school night. He's tired.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not that late. Okay, next question. Just want to make sure.
It's late here.
Just want to make sure you're all ready for this next one. This one's from Jess. As a past livestock showman and livestock judge, I love your podcast and how I always end up learning something new, even though I've been in this for years. I do have a question. From a past showman's perspective, I fully agree with allowing exhibitors to vote on judges for shows, but as a fresh collegiate or judging graduate, I'm wondering what I could do to get out there more so my name lands on some of those lists. And I feel like both of you are going to be great at answering this one.
Well, I appreciate your vote of confidence, Chase. I'm going to say the same things that I've said on several podcasts. And I think now more than ever, and you have to kind of advertise yourself. You've got to go to places, and I'm not saying advertise, but say, hey, I want to do this. I have a passion for this. If you know of anybody looking for a judge or you're looking for a judge, please put my name out there, all this other stuff. And then when you get that job, and this is the part that falls on deaf ears. And again, I'm going to get on a soapbox and I don't care. The part that falls on deaf ears is a lot of you get jobs. A lot of you. Because there's more shows than ever. And then you do nothing with it. You either use your friends, you use your buddies, you do something that probably wasn't on the up and up because you got scared that one had won 19 shows before, all this other stuff. You don't stay true to yourself. You don't stay true to who you are, what you actually believe. And that comes through on the microphone loud and clear. And so if you get those opportunities and you get those jobs, I don't care if it's a jackpot show, a county fair, whatever, you have to go above and beyond every single time you step in the arena if you want to get more and bigger jobs. I've been doing this longer than probably most people listening on this podcast that are still wanting judging jobs. And I promise you this, I don't care if there is 50 head or 500, like today. If you are not mentally exhausted, I'm not saying physically, if you're not mentally exhausted after each show, you haven't given enough of yourself. And that's just facts. That's how it is. And you have got to be so good with the kids. People wonder why I get so many jobs. It is because I can strike a rapport with the large majority of the kids. And that's what it's about. And it's not just because those kids feel it, but the people from the outside of the ring, the parents and everybody else see that happens. And that is what they think is cool. A lot of people probably don't like what I actually do as far as placing. They love the way the kids and I have a rapport with each other. That's what matters. And so many people miss that part. I can't reiterate that enough.
No, and I think as we progress to more, obviously we've already progressed to just mostly junior shows. There's still some open shows out there, but I think Jess is talking about getting himself out there. And Ryan, I think you've answered this very well. You and I've heard you talk about it, and I've used it as well. When you take that show with a sense of responsibility to describe those livestock and to do what you're true to, not necessarily what your political ways may push you or what that animal that just won the previous week,
or who bended on you, or who pressured you,
or who hired you. All of those things. Just block it out. And I promise you, I think a lot of younger judges think, well, if I do the same thing that was done before, that one won 2 weeks ago, or this particular camp is more popular, that I'm going to get more shows from that. I don't necessarily subscribe to that by any means, but I've had long conversations with some very young, very popular judges that are coming through right now. In my little speech that I give them, if you can stay true, I don't even care what kind of livestock you use, but you're consistent, You describe them accurately and continue to use those kind without regards to politics, without regards to how they've done before, any of those things. Where there's such a void right now for that fresh, non-political, consistent sorting of livestock with that rapport that you can build with those kids, as Ryan talked about. If you can put all those things together, Ryan, what happens? You get offered how many shows a day? It's a lot.
A lot.
Because there's a void there where we don't have enough people out there doing it that way.
It's not that I'm special, according to Dale. It's just
there's a void that he happens to feel. Yeah, Phil, exactly.
Ryan, I think you were very special.
Thank you, Chase.
Okay.
But I'm not trying to like draw on this topic or draw this out, but I do want to like bring one other thing into this because I think it's important. And we've talked about this on the podcast. You have to be accurate when you describe the animals. That goes a long way too. But going back to what Dale says, there is a void. And if you go into any show with in your mind, well, I got to keep this person as a friend, or I need to make this person as a friend, and all this other stuff, it's never going to work out for you.
No, you're gonna come across on them. It's going to be very blatant. The lights are shining on you.
The reason that people respect me, I'm not saying they like me. The reason that the overwhelming majority of the people in this industry respect me is because they know I don't care if I make a friend, keep a friend, whatever. I'm going to do exactly what I think. I got a message tonight from someone saying, well, I'm butthurt over this. I didn't write that person back, but I'm like, do you really think I care? I don't. And I'm not saying that you should want people to dislike you or be upset with how you do, but you have to have a certain level of, I'm going to go out there and do what I know is true, what I know is right, what I want to do in terms of sorting them. And if it hair lips King Kong, it hair lips King Kong. And that is one thing, in my opinion, that propels me over a lot of people.
Very good. Chase, give us another one.
I gotta say, you both rocked that question, and Ryan, you nailed it.
Thank you.
All right, next one we got from Stacy. This is a two-parter, okay?
Oh, Jesus.
It's very short. It's the shortest one yet. Number one, what has been your favorite show to judge? And then number two, what is one show you hope you get asked to judge someday?
Go, Dale.
Mine are easy, and maybe I shouldn't say easy. I enjoy the international scene. I enjoy looking at genetics that are maybe different. There's a lot of different things that go through my mind. I enjoyed judging the national Angus show in Argentina, probably as much as anything. And not that I haven't enjoyed a lot of shows here in the States.
He's anti-American.
No, not at all. That was just different and interesting. And I'm going to go further with which one I would like to judge. The largest show down there, larger than what I consider the National Angus show, is the Angus show at Palermo in Argentina. We've talked about this a little bit in the podcast, but you have thousands of people gathered in basically a soccer stadium. You have the commercial world, you have the purebred breeders, you have the show families, you have everybody that's there watching that event. When the judge came back in this year, he's doing a great job. Comes back in from lunch, they give him a standing ovation. It just, there's so much energy, so much excitement, so many people there.
That man did not deserve a standing ovation. I'm just saying.
No, he's good. He did a great. They were as happy with him as
I watched.
They've been in years.
No.
You did not. You can't trust me.
It was on web stream,
wonderful.
sir.
It may have been. I don't know. But that would be mine. That would be the show. Now there are some shows that I want to point out, and this, I hope this makes sense. So
you only get one, the one you enjoyed the most, the one you want to judge. They're both not in America. You lose.
I've hit both those, but I've actually
you don't get
enjoyed
the foreign
Ryan.
and an American choice.
This will be 2 and 3. So I'm not going to interrupt that one. Some of this, and I'm not even going to put a name with them. So, there's been a couple smaller youth / county shows that One of them I was able to do with my daughter, Tara, and another one was just on my own it was such a positive environment, and it was how things should be done from the standpoint that the kids seemed to get along. The parents weren't at each other's. It was just good. And those shows were, I mean, they took most of the day because I'm doing all 4 species, but for the most part, not big shows. So it's not necessarily for me, the bigger, the better, but there's some of those that just, and Ryan, I know you've had them that just hit you and you think, wow, this was good. I'm done.
He's anti-American, people. Anti-American. But anyway, mine are very simple too. And the most enjoyable experience I've ever had judging a show was the Southeast Iowa Final Drive in Burlington, or West Burlington, Iowa, I guess I should say. But and that was the first Iowa Showdown I've ever judged. I walked in there and I knew that there was going to be like 10 breeding and market of each species and all this stuff. I did not know that there was going to be 1,000 people. I did not know that the crowd was going to be electric. I had no idea. It was something that, and again, I think more than anything else, it was kind of in that deal where I had been judging a whole lot of shows for a while, but going to that show not expecting what would happen, it really moved me and it really changed me. And that was the most emotional experience of any show as a whole for me. The show that I want to judge, I've stated it 100,000 times, is the North American in Louisville. And again, I fell in love with Louisville when I was 9 years old. And I think probably the most emotional speech that I've ever given at a show was at the Kentucky State Fair this summer, because it was on the green chips and it was in Louisville. And whether I ever get to judge the actual North American, I knew I was that close, and that fed into it. So that's my 2.
I love it. Those are good. And I like this question, and Ryan, maybe part of the appeal is I love the history of the International back when it was in Chicago.
You are anti-American.
No, I want to.
You are anti-American.
No.
You are Biden.
I'm almost Chinese.
You are
Chinese.
China.
So the Chicago International, that kind of crowd is what I was talking about that we see at Palermo, and I was too young to remember. I see pictures, I see all those things, and it was just incredible. And all those things. And Ryan, you nailed it. Those I've only done a couple of those Iowa Showdowns. Incredible. It's so fun when you have. Maybe this is it, when you've got that one representative from your county. Most of whoever's there from that county is kind of rooting for that one. Rather than at each other's throat at the county fair, all of a sudden we're on the same team.
Right.
But no, that's good. Very, very good. Chase, you have another one.
We got one from Grant. Question for the podcast. In a previous episode, a question was asked regarding ideal weight window for cattle. What are your ideal weights for goats and lambs? Thanks.
Well, the poor piggies just get left out completely.
They did not ask, did they?
Again, racist.
Have at it, Ryan.
I'm going to say the same thing, just like I didn't go. I think there's a window of acceptability. I think the window of acceptability is the smallest in cattle of any species. I think the window of acceptability in sheep, goats, and pigs are much larger. And the reason I say that is those projects are on feed a shorter amount of time than cattle.
For the most part.
Well, are they okay? Let me rephrase that. They should be on a shorter period of time, of feed for a shorter period of time. Like Dale will be the first one to tell you. He said this before. Goats just don't grow. I mean, like, it is what it is. And
show goats don't grow.
Right? But like on the sheep side or the pig side, until you get to those ones that are like old enough to vote. That don't look the part anymore. I think that freshness of each individual animal and readiness at the weight in those smaller species is way more important than the actual weight. Now, I'm not going to say that a 20-pound goat can win a market show, but I do think that freshness and being right at that individual market show in the small animal species is way more important than an actual weight. But Dale may disagree.
So we could take those mature ones that still
I don't
look
like the
youthful.
mature
and
ones.
Well, no, just wait. The mature ones that give you that extra muscle and extra bone
like
and
the old
those
ones.
things that come with maturity, but they need to look youthful and they need to be well managed, and the skin and the hair and all those things need to be right. So yeah, I am on the same track. I think more than a weight, just looking the part and looking, and a lot of people we talked about this, the term fresh and stale is different in everybody's mind, but I think Ryan kind of explained that. If I'm going to give you hard weights, and I'm going to always want to pull the commercial industry in a little, more than Ryan, I promise.
And I'm not trying to interrupt you, Dale, but in most pig shows, there's a minimum and a maximum weight, and I don't think we have that in most of the other species, to be honest. And so, again, and I know this person didn't ask about pigs, he asked about lambs, goat, but when you have a minimum and maximum weight, that's basically saying this is the window of acceptability for that market show.
For the small animals, you still don't go that direction on the market steers, I don't think.
Well, but there's not a minimum or maximum weight set. Pigs at Texas Majors, there's a minimum and maximum
There's
weight.
definitely a maximum on the goats, I think a minimum as well. And I can't speak directly on the lambs, but I'm going to assume that there is. But goats, for most part, I think the majors are 115 declared on the goat side. But if I have a goat that comes in, guys, you can make an argument for this easily. In the commercial world, we have so few lambs and goats hitting the market scene in the United States. We have to import goat meat, we have to import lamb, all those things. So they're going to buy them at any weight. I don't know. Yeah, you've got every niche market out there. So I don't know that I can just say, here's an ideal commercial weight, but I promise you that those goats in that 50-pound range are very, very popular and bringing a lot of money. And I don't even want to venture into the lambs because they're whether East Coast, West Coast, they're going to take them light, they're going to take them heavy. And I agree with Ryan. I'm all about finding the best one, but I think if I had to give some hard numbers on goats, if I'm at a larger show, and obviously it's going to depend on what type of show you're at, if I have one that fits in that 70 to 110 range, and I know that's a big range, that's fine with me. If I'm not at a big show and the 60-pounders, the best one out there, guess what? I'm going to grab a hold of it. I think we need to sort quality more so than just a narrow yourself and back yourself into a corner on weights. If we talk about lambs, I think you have two things, Ryan, and I want you to give your input a little bit on this. To me, in the Midwest,
all the lambs are old.
We have the summer state fairs. So those summer lamb shows, to me, those lambs are usually, and again, it's all changing, usually shown a little bit younger, and I don't think we take the weights quite as high. So somewhere in that 120 to 160 range. If it's a winter, spring, like we're getting into that fall or into the Texas Majors or OYE, I think we're getting older animals in general, 140 to 170, somewhere in there. So summertime, 135, 140 is where I would love to take one into a state fair. Falls and winter shows, Texas Majors, OYE, I'm probably in that 150 to low 160s, somewhere in that range. So I don't know. It really doesn't matter. Unless you look really old or you're way out there on one extreme. Me personally, I could care less on the lambs and the goats where the weight is. And I'm probably that way on the pigs too, Ryan. I'm with you. If they're allowed to show at that market show in those weights, I'm going to use the best one.
And I just think in general, and I think the hard numbers that you gave are very accurate, but I think in general now more than ever, and some of these people have been sorting major shows since I was showing, and they're still doing it. I don't think you hear nearly as much, this one is out of my realm of comfortability or weight, this one's too light, this one's too... You just don't hear that nearly as much as you used to.
You know what? As you brought it up, you used to hear that. You've got to go back
all the time.
Maybe 30 years, 20, 30 years.
No. I can tell you 10 years ago in Texas, you could hear
I think
5 years.
the window's open more each year from the 80s, 90s until now. It just keeps getting wider or with less restrictions.
I will say in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, you definitely, and I'm not saying that window didn't change, but you heard more sorters at big prestigious shows talk more about weight than you do now.
Agreed.
Lots more.
Agreed. Well, Grant, I hope that helps answer your question. Chase, do you have another one?
Of course, I got one more. Now, this one, it's very concise, most concise on this list, but I feel like it might get a real rise out of Ryan.
Oh, shit.
This one is from Tyler. Why does Ryan hate the Illinois State Fair so much?
I think you have alluded to that on here, maybe.
Okay, number one, I judged the steer show and the open show, and I never got asked back, and I did a fabulous job. Number two, it is literally the most toxic state fair I've ever been to.
That is not very nice.
And I am not here to be nice. I am here to be honest.
Toxic. Why is it toxic?
You can just walk around there. None of you people like each other. None of you people root for each other. You all want to stab each other in the back. It is as cutthroat a state fair as I have ever been to. And I have been there multiple times. I showed in the open show there. I have been there to buy steers when you could still buy steers as a kid and take them. And before there was validation rules and all this other stuff. I have been there as a judge. I have been there as a spectator. It is the most toxic, the most cutthroat place I have ever been.
Chase, he's talking about your state fair.
I don't care.
Well, I mean,
I'm also talking about a whole lot of friends other than the Hummels that live in Illinois. And if they were honest, they would tell the truth and say, yeah, you're right.
you're talking to the one kid here who is not the most involved in the show side of things.
There is no duck slide. There is no duck slide, so you don't like the Illinois State Fair. Move on.
Well, here's the thing. It rewarded me with 2 great lizards at a ping pong ball toss carny game.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He got amphibians.
Reptiles.
Well, then that saves everything. The Illinois State Fair is the greatest place on earth.
It was that little game there where you throw the ping pong ball in the fish bowl to get a goldfish or a lizard. That was enjoyable, I'd have to say.
Y'all do realize that I have never gone to a carnival at a show in my life, right?
I believe that. I do believe that. Chase, are you ready?
If it wasn't for Chase on this podcast, I would never have been to the duck slide in Louisville.
Yes,
he drugged me last year.
You and Chase.
Yeah, because it is God bless that duck slide. It is the best thing at that fair.
And I went with you, honey, and we had a great time.
And I believe they had one at Kentucky State Fair, Ryan. I've never seen it.
They did have one.
I have never seen it there. I didn't know it was there.
You didn't attend the Kentucky State Fair for like 20 minutes, and you made Cherie very mad. So
I was
you
there
did not
for
have
the
time to
good
go.
portion
If you
of the day.
went to the duck slide and didn't see Cherie, she's never going to speak to you again.
I did not see the duck slide. If I would have
There you
known
go.
it was there, I probably would have. We're running a little short on time, Chase, so I think we're going to probably cut it off there. We do have a few more questions. We can bounce over to the next.
That's rude.
Well, you still need to talk about the new regulations and rules.
I thought we were going to answer all the question and
Well, we
answers.
can. We
How
have
many
2
more
left.
are there?
2. We
Two.
can do it.
Let's go.
Do it.
There's only 2.
And that's not all of them. That's just the number
All right.
I printed off.
Speed round. This comes from Brett. What do you think about everyone getting a blue ribbon at a county fair just so they can sell in the sale? We live in a small county with limited business, and this is not a terminal sale.
I think which I think this is referred to as the Danish system.
Yes, and I think they have to get a blue ribbon to be able to.
Blue, red, or white, and depending on the county fair, it affects premium prices, it affects sale orders, all this other stuff. I think that it is absolutely ludicrous, and coming from the person that judges more county fairs than anybody else probably in the nation right now, I have never given a white ribbon at any fair that I can remember. I don't. When they tell you that, well, if you give a red ribbon, that's going to prevent, like, if they tell you that everybody can sell in the premium sale if they get a blue ribbon, the human in me, it's going to be very hard for me to give a red ribbon. And again, I am not the nicest person. So I can only imagine how people, the majority of sorters who are much nicer than I am, are. I think this is just a ludicrous system. But I'm telling you, it is in effect at way more county fairs than you have ever thought about.
I remembered in California, the first one I judged there, you could give a blue, red, or white, and they didn't explain you had to have a blue to sell. In that first year, I was probably a little hard on them, not understanding the system that they had to have a blue to sell. But once they explain that to you, it is hard. I do it. It is hard for me not to give out a blue. But if they come in there and you can tell that animal has not been taken care of, or they didn't bother to take time to clean it up or something like that, I'm out.
Here are the three things that you don't get a blue ribbon under me. If your animal has not been fed properly, and when I mean fed properly, like it is emaciated, starving,
not healthy.
Number two, you did not bring your animal. Like, I'm not saying that you didn't clean your animal that day, but you haven't cleaned it in the last couple of months.
I'm even out if they didn't wash it that day, if it's looking kind of gruffy.
As long as I can tell they washed it since they got to the fair, I'm probably more lenient than you. And the other thing that I wrestle with a lot, because this is not a lot of times the kid's fault, but there are animals at the county fair level that you know were never intended to be a show animal. Like, it was not in God's plan. And yet someone gifted them that animal, or heaven forbid sold them that animal, and that is the thing that I wrestle with the most, because there is nothing about that animal that says was ever supposed to go in a show ring, but yet they're there. So again, I think I hate sell order. I literally despise sell order. I would much rather spend another 30 to 45 minutes placing all those animals in sell order than doing the blue, red, white bullshit.
Agreed. Chase, one last question.
All right. This one, our final question, comes from Seth. Ryan, you say a lot of people continue to contact you before shows, even though you say you do not like it. Why do you think people still do that?
Because people do not listen, or they're idiots. One of the two.
That's a very good, very concise answer.
I'm not going to go off on this, but I am just going to say again, like the person that told me they were butthurt today. I don't care. Do not contact me before the show. Do not contact me after the show if you're upset, because I am not there to make you happy. That is not my goal. I am not. I am there to go out there, judge the animals, place them the way I see fit. The only people that I care about, that what they think about me, are the ones that are walking in that arena, the exhibitors. That is why I make sure that they know that I've seen them. They're not an exhibitor number. They matter to me. I interact with them, all of those things. And that is evidently working, because all of these kids come up, they talk to me, they want a picture, they want this, all this other stuff. And that is who I care about. Likes me or dislikes me, regardless of the placing. All of the people on the outside, I hope they respect me, and that's great. But please, for the love of God, it does not help you to contact me before or to tell me that you're upset after. Okay? It just does not.
Not at all.
No.
How about that exhibitor that had the pig that took you out today? If that one comes up and says, hey.
That was not that child's fault.
This is the first I'm hearing of this, by the way. All I heard from my father was that Ryan was injured.
Let's not talk about it. It's a very bad day. Bad thing.
Did it involve blood in your boot? And
yes, let's just not talk about it.
I really hope someday you're able to discuss this.
We're just hoping we make it to Salt Lake City. That's all we're hoping right now. But anyway. So, is that all of the questions and answers?
That was the final question and answer.
Oh, well, that's rude. Chase, you did a fabulous job, and Dale, you didn't say anything. But anyway, next. Moving on.
BTRJLA news.
Yeah. We're taking memberships for 2023 on October 1, and I told you that we would announce the rule changes before that. We thought that was important to do, so the people will know the full transparency before they sign up for 2023. There are going to be some slight rule changes. The first one that I want to mention is that we're not changing the age limits. It's still however young you are to 21 years of age as of January 1, 2023. We are changing the age brackets just a little bit to make the competition level more even within those brackets from what we saw from participation this year. So next year, starting January 1 of 2023, novice is 8 years of age and under. Junior is 9 to 12 years of age. Intermediate is 13 to 16 years of age. And senior is 17 to 21 years of age. And basically, the change is that the 17-year-olds are going to the senior group because we're trying to take some heat off the intermediate level. And we did change the novice. We bumped the 9-year-olds up to the junior level because basically in every state of the union, you can show at every level at 9. So those were the two things there, but that is a change. In terms of the point system, we're making a few changes. The class points are still going to be the same. If you're first, 20, second, 18, all the way down to 10th, and then if you're not in the top 10, you still get a point. Breed champion, you still get an additional 10 points. Reserve breed champion, you still get an additional 5 points. If you're the grand overall champion, you get an additional 20 points. Reserve overall champion, additional 15 points. If you are third overall in 2023, you'll get an additional 10. If you're fourth overall on a show, you'll get an additional 8. If you're fifth overall, you'll get an additional 5. So the 5 major shows that were double points in 2022, we're talking about the National Western, Cattlemen's Congress, the American Royal, North American International Livestock Exposition, and Arizona National. They were double points this year. They will be triple points in 2023. And the other change to the point system is that at any BTRJLA sanctioned show, that a species has more than 250 entries in a ring, that will count for double points. So,
and just so people aren't panicking, trying to write all this down, it will be in print, Ryan.
Oh yeah, no, it will be on the website. It will be in print. We'll put it on social media. But again, the big changes to the point system. So we're adding points for third, fourth, and fifth overall at shows. We are tripling the points at the 5 major shows. And if you go to a show that has more than 250 in that species, that show will count for double points. And the method to the madness behind that is we have already seen in this very short year how many kids are coming close to a perfect score, if don't have a perfect score, etc. We think that you should be rewarded more for the larger shows that you win. Is that not correct, Dale?
Absolutely. And I think that I completely, and Ryan and I and Callie discussed a lot of these, or Ryan tossed them out to us. I think, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but this association, as we find things that are going to improve it and make it better, we're going to continue to evolve and allow those things to happen. And I think great first year, Ryan, you'd have to say you'd never dreamed it could go this well, this much interest, all of those things.
No, I mean, it surpassed all my expectations, but again, it was just the first year. Nothing is perfect the first time. You have to make tweaks. You have to make changes. You have to evolve. And so that's what we're doing. There's 2 other kind of big changes to the BTRJLA. Next year, there's going to be 5 regions, not 6. And the easiest way to sum this up is that Texas and Oklahoma were their own region. After watching this year, looking at the participation, watching the points, I read off a top 10. I didn't this week, but I read off a top 10 every single week. Texas and Oklahoma are not the ones that are in the top 10. All these other states are the ones that are in the top 10. So the fact that we thought that Texas and Oklahoma, these other states couldn't compete with them, we're wrong. And I'm not saying that I was wrong, but Dale was wrong. But anyway, not
Thank you,
anything
thank
about
you.
that. Yeah, you're welcome. So basically, Oklahoma is going to move to Region 2, which is Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, North Dakota, Montana, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Wyoming. So in 2023, Oklahoma will be Region 2. Texas is moving to what was Region 4 this year, which will be Region 3 next year. So Texas is going to be with Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. And again, you can study the point standings for your own. It's not that Texas and Oklahoma kids are dominating in the national standings within the breeds and stuff like that. So there's no reason to put them on a pedestal like that anymore. So, and again, in terms of sponsorship, this will help out a lot. And finally, the one that y'all are all been worried about. We have thought this through and thought this through and thought this through. I'm going to be the first to tell you that I don't think we're going to break even this year. We're still hoping that we will, but I don't think we will. We are going to charge a very minimal fee for sanctioned shows next year. It's going to be way less than what we originally planned. And still, if you're a state fair, a major show, or a county fair, you can sanction for free. Just like we said last year, we're going to try to give you those for free, and we are. But if you are not one of those, if you're a jackpot show, a regional show, stuff like that, then there is going to be a minimal fee. But for 2023, it is $50 per species. I don't care if you have 1 ring of hogs or you have 5 rings of hogs. Per show, it's $50 per species. So that is basically 1 entry fee at your show. If you have all 4 species, it's $200. We have almost 2,500 members in the different species this first year. When you see the awards that we give out this year, it's only going to grow. And again, I don't know how a show can say, when a parent can put forth, parents come into that show, hey, look, I'm coming to your show. I need it to be BTRJLA sanctioned for my kid. I will give you the $50. All you got to do is send in the results. I don't know how a show says no to that. If they do, that's on them. But I don't think $50 per species is too much to ask. And we need it for multiple reasons, but we need it for accountability more than anything else.
Excellent. And I think that is a very nominal fee, and I think it adds more legitimacy. How's that?
And when I mean accountability, I don't mean just in legitimacy. I also mean in the shows that send in the sanctioning, actually sending us the results in a timely manner. When you have to pay for something, you want to make sure you got what you paid for. The struggle to get some of these shows to send in results, because it has been free, has been more than you people will ever know. And so for accountability and legitimacy, that is the biggest reason that we're going to charge a $50 sanctioning fee. And those are the big rule changes for next year.
And Ryan, I appreciate you putting the thought into it. And I think no better person to do it when you're out there in the trenches nearly every day. This works. All good. And I hope it continues to go as well as it does. And I can't wait for everybody to see the awards you came up with.
Me too. If you're an award supplier, send me pictures, because I know you've almost got them finished. But next. Hey, we don't have to do question and answer at the end. Yay!
You're just kind of waiting for it, weren't you?
Nope. We did it the whole way through.
Well, guys, I'm. Do you have anything else, Ryan? Chase? I'm done. I'm good.
I am good. Thank you, Chase. You were an excellent moderator, as always.
I had a wonderful time coming on. I loved hearing your guys' answers to these questions. And once again, I am sorry to Deanna for putting words in your mouth.
That's okay. Deanna, I still love you. Chase will bail this out when I see you next. But
We'll talk to it over the duck slide.
yes, over the duck slide. We'll hug it out. It'll be fine.
Excellent. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?